Welcome to another episode with your chapter crush sweetheart. This is Everblue Presents When You're Enough, a chapter crush sweetheart series. Bronwyn, Chapter 8. Pick battles big enough to matter, small enough to win. Jonathan Kozol. Miss Bronwyn is my friend. What? I cough, choking on my spit as Michel continues in French. Yes, my friend. She lives here too, in that room, he says, spinning to point at my door as I try to compose myself. His adorable daughter blows up her little cherub cheeks as she narrows her eyes on her father's face. Is it like when Maman's friend, Mr. Jeff, comes over and we all have breakfast the next morning? Both my and Michel's brows rise as he firmly shakes his head. No, not like Mr. Jeff. I work together with Miss Bronwyn, and that's my room, he says, pointing to his bedroom door. Doriane looks dubious, but she nods. Can I see your room, Papa? The relief on his face is palpable as he glances in my direction. Yes, but we must first take off our shoes. As he sits her down on the bench, he makes a face at me, which, if I had to interpret, says something like, Oy vey. Well, your slippers are there, I smile, gesturing to the little yellow rubber clogs I sat under the bench this morning before looking up at Michel. I made up the bed in the music room. You can leave it down for the whole week if you like. Please miss the plants on Sunday. Let's see. I locked everything up that I could think of, so you're all set. I'm heading to my room when I'm stopped by Michel's strangled voice. You bought slippers for Doriane? I turn back, ready to deal with whatever attitude he's planning to throw at me today. Yet confusion is reflected in his bright eyes as he gazes between me and the cute bumblebees and flowers decorating the clogs he's holding up. The floors can be cold, I shrug, especially in the kitchen and bathroom. Looking at Doriane, whose eyes are bouncing between her father's face and mine, I smile. Doriane, while you're here, you're also my guest. I hope you like your new slippers. Her eyes shine excitedly as she squeals. Yes, they're so pretty. Papa, please help me put them on. Doriane's excitement shakes Michel out of whatever he's got going on, and he places a gentle hand on hers. All right, my darling, but what do you say to Miss Bronwyn for the gift? Doriane turns and smiles brightly at me. Thank you, Miss Brownie. You're welcome, Doriane. I smile as she balances a hand on Michel's shoulders to step into the slippers. Oh, she exclaims. Look, Papa. Look, Miss Brownie. The bees' eyes move. Because they're happy to see you, I smile. Without hesitation, she hurtles towards me, wrapping her hands around the legs of my gray parachute pants and squeezing tight. I chuckle in response as I lean over to hug her. She's so precious. I'm so glad you like them, my dear. Looking up at me with large doe eyes, she smiles brightly. Do you want ice cream, Miss Brownie? Smiling at her obviously leading question, I pinch her cheek. I do. I really do. But I only have ice cream after I eat all of my food. What about you? Do you eat all of your food first? She nods enthusiastically, her little glasses bouncing with the movement. Yes. Then, hesitating, she looks back at her father, who's gazing at us rather intently. Well, I try, right, Papa? Michel swallows and nods, his eyes skittering off of me. You sure do, little koala. Doriane looks up at me triumphantly, causing me to laugh in response. Okay, well, when you're done with dinner, there's a surprise in the kitchen for you and your papa that will taste really good when you have ice cream. Yay! Turning off the kitchen light after cleaning, I hum the melody that I've been hearing in my head over the past few days. I just need to get it down on paper, maybe tinker with it on the violin. I pass through the darkened dining room into the living room, trying to decide if I'll start my next book or pull out my blank music sheets. Why did you lie about your French? I jump a mile high, whirling towards the sofa at the sound of Michel's low voice. After such a long week, I thought he went to bed when he came back from dropping Doriane home tonight. You gave me the fright of my life, I whisper shout, clutching my chest. His large dark form sits up from where he was laying on the chaise that I just passed by. It's far better than the couple of years of high school you originally claimed. Crossing to the table beside him, I feel around for the switch on the lamp, but I'm momentarily stunned when it abruptly comes on, its warm light spilling across the hunter green sofa where Michel sits. His hand brushes mine as it drops to his lap, leaving me flustered for a moment. Then realization dawns. I frown. Hold on there, Bruce. Are you calling me a liar? His gray-blue eyes narrow on my face. Who is Bruce? Bruce Wayne? I smirk. You know, Batman, combative anti-hero. lurks in the dark, dropping threatening lines. Running a finger across his brow, he looks down at the rug. I know who Batman is. Why didn't you just attenuate? You certainly concealed the whole truth. Scowling in response, I snap. Which is what, exactly? His eyes hold amusement as he raises them to mine. That you're fluent? Ha! I scoff. You can't know that. Tilting his head to one side, he smirks. It was in French that I asked why you lied. Lifting a brow, I shrug. So what, Inspector Clouseau? You not only responded in French, it was with a term most familiar to native French speakers. Crossing his arms, his biceps and forearms bulging under his black knit short sleeves, Michel holds my gaze until mine skitters away. We say it in English too, I huff indignantly, folding my arms. My eyes catch on a chip in my white manicure. Guess I know what I'll be doing tomorrow. He lifts his head in understanding. So you lied. I raise a brow as I grit out. If this is about to be a repeat of your first day, he holds up a defensive hand, his mouth set in a firm line. It's not honest. I'm just curious. Like I'd believe that. Well, stay curious. As I walk away, he calls out, Why are you so nice? It's been a long week at the office. Something he wouldn't know because he gets to work from home on the weeks he has Doriane. I have no idea how he managed that accommodation, but he must have called in a serious favor. Groaning, I scrub a tired hand down my face before turning back to face him, brows raised as I wait for him to clarify. Why are you so accommodating? He asks, curiosity coating each word. Shoving my hands in the pocket of my smock dress, I roll my eyes. No one has ever accused me of that before. He smiles faintly, laugh lines crinkling around his eyes. That's funny. I've never noticed them before. Besides, who would believe this man laughs? Except I've heard him laugh with his daughter so many times this past week. Maybe he rations his laughter like he rations his manners. Truly, Bronwyn, he leans forward, elbows on his knees. Why did you buy slippers and cookies for my daughter? Why do you read her stories and feed her pancakes and chicken? It was chicken and waffles. And you left me a plate of bacon, too, I interject as he continues. Doriane really likes you. I really like her, too, I nod. Too bad she can't be my roommate. Maybe the mood would lighten up around here, I mutter. Michel's gaze narrows on me. We are leaving within a year. What do you hope to gain from befriending a 5-year-old? My brows rise in confusion. Even if I may have been reminded of how much I wanted children this week. As cute as Dory may be, Michel needs work. Surely he doesn't believe that I want him. Look, you, I grumble. Why is everything I do so suspicious? I'm not looking to gain anything. Have you ever considered that I enjoy doing things for people? I scowl. For your information, I'll do what I want in my home. Furthermore, you can't just ambush someone in the middle of the night. Submit your questions in writing next time. I walk away, incensed by his gall, when his voice cuts through the air. It's only 9 o'clock. It's certainly not too late to have a conversation with my work wife. I wince, slowly turning around as I'm reminded about the office gossip mill. As I said yesterday, I'm sorry. Even if Jimmy was being harassed all week about your whereabouts, who knew he would tell the whole female population of GPMP that you already have a work wife? Believe me, it was the last thing I wanted. Michel scowls as fiercely as he did when I told him what the whole work wife, work husband culture is about. He was not pleased to have an attachment to anyone, especially me. Yet, it was more ridiculous that the women around the office were taking bets on who would be able to capture the tiger, as he'd been dubbed. Apparently, he has his good looks and the fierce countenance he wears whenever a woman crosses his path to thank for that designation. True, it's none of my business, but I learned the worse his day at work, the more likely he is to slam my cabinets, pots, and pans around in the kitchen. The man cooks every day, but the more upset he is, the more elaborate the dishes become. Sitting near the kitchen when he's cooking has become impossible. There are never leftovers, and he doesn't share. It automatically gives me an attitude because it smells so good. So maybe I exaggerated when I saw yet another woman flinging herself at him in the office last week, but if I had to smell another bacon and potato casserole without being offered a bite, I was going to kick a pillow. Michel was slightly appeased when I reminded him that work also carries over into our home lives, so the statement is fairly accurate. I thought that was the end of it, but I guess not. Smirking, I add, hey, look at it this way. There may be a whole lot less interest in the legal department when you get back next week. He's back to glaring at me dubiously. Why is that? Does a work wife exclude the possibility of having a real wife? Ha! I scoff. You wish. No, but it does mean that instead of coming to Jimmy or you, the ones truly desperate for your attention will come to me to find out your status. I grimace. Ask me how my week has been. Running a hand through his dark hair, he sighs. And what's my status exactly? Deciding to tease him for being ridiculous, I swipe a decisive hand through the air. Taken. Michel's face scrunches in befuddlement. Taken, he says flatly. I nod firmly. That's right. I've let them all know that you're taken. That way, if anyone slips through, they were skeezy anyway, and you can be your usual brutal self. The corners of his mouth twitch. And you're positive this will work? I raise a brow archly, slapping an offended hand to my chest. Would I lie to my favorite roommate's father? That earns me a smirk as Michel slowly nods. It seems I should thank you. A long pause ensues, which I break. Do you plan to thank me tonight? Because I need to be getting to whatever I'm doing. His brows jump. Oh, do you prefer words of thanks? I slowly blink, trying to understand what's happening. Prefer it to what? Dropping his chin, he rubs the back of his neck. Some people prefer gifts, or maybe you would prefer I take over one of the jewels on the cleaning list? My brows jump so high, I'm sure they've cleared my hairline. A thank you is just fine. Michel continues to eye me with a brief nod. I'll remember that. 10 seconds into the ensuing silence, I realize he isn't going to say anything. Okay, well, have a good evening. Turning on my heel, I make my way out of the living room, but I freeze when the room is plunged into darkness. Near instantly, a small light from behind me is directed at my feet. Oh, thanks, I say, creeping forward as I try not to bump into anything. When I get to my door, I turn the knob and step inside. All right, when you speak to Dory, let her know I miss her. Wait a moment. You call my daughter Dory? It's cute, right? I grin. She loves it, especially when she learned that song the fish sings in that one movie. Do you know she's never seen it? Anyway, night. Yet, when I close my door, I'm met with resistance. Frowning, I try to push, but the door doesn't close. What on earth? You can't just change my daughter's name, Michel grits out. Turning on the lamp on the nearby dressing table, I'm surprised to see his hand holding the door open. I'm less surprised to see the irritation in his eyes. Crossing my arms, I'm now equally irritated. Well, I know you think you have a right to tell me that, but she likes her new name. His eye twitches as he looks away. Are you deliberately trying to upset me? You can't go around calling my daughter Dory and singing songs from a movie just because it's cute. How would you like it if I called you Winnie? Ugh, like the bear? My face scrunches in horrified disbelief. Smelling blood in the water, Michel leans in, enveloping me in his sweet leather scent. Oh, not so nice when it happens to you, is it? Scowling at him in frustration, I pull the band out of my hair to massage the tension out of the base of my skull. No, but you're missing a very important point. I said it once, and she immediately corrected me, but it grew on her because she asked me to call her Dory from now on. Now she loves it. She'll probably start introducing herself that way. Isn't it her choice? Michel shakes his head. Our mother doesn't like Doriane to go by any other name. My brows rise skeptically. So? Michel shrugs, his gaze skipping away as he sharply exhales. Hey, I actually agree with you, but I fought the battle too long. I was hoping to keep Doriane from having to battle her mother about it. I hadn't thought of that. Fine. If she doesn't mention it, I won't bring it up. But she's going to run into kids in school who are going to call her by a lot more names than her own. Or the ones she likes, I say softly. In addition, neither you nor your ex will be able to control who she identifies as. If she decides she wants her nickname to be Sarah, then that's what it will be to her friends. He rocks back on his heels with a contemplative look as he crosses his arms and strokes his beard. I glance away from my personal sanity, trying not to squirm under his piercing gray-blue eyes. Fine, he bites out. Doriane may continue to call herself Dory, and if you like, you may also use that name. My head snaps up as I smile. That's great, Michel. I knew you would see reason. I'm sure it'll grow on you too. He smirks, and I'm reminded of a shark as he nods. Of course. We can all be made to see reason, Winnie. Whoa, 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 I exclaim, holding up a hand in objection. I never agreed to being called Winnie. His grin is mischievous when he backs away from my door. Oh, don't worry, my dear. As you said, it will probably grow on you.